Hey guys, so I made a video a while back talking about my two old characters, Emmy and Moon, and in that video I talked about them and another character named Spike. At the end of that video I hinted that I might redesign those characters, and that's exactly what this video is about. Emmy, Moon, and Spike are all old characters of mine from my childhood. They are very cringy to look back on, but I don't think they're completely worthless. I actually think there is a hidden potential in all of these characters, and I'm going to try my best to redesign and rewrite them as characters. But before that, really quick, I just wanted to announce that I have new merch. I haven't updated my merch in years, and since I've been changing up my content lately, I decided to make new designs. I have two new designs. One is a galaxy-themed design of Leamon, and the other is a silly design of Leamon related to my cringe content. I have these in stickers, shirts, and mugs, so feel free to check them out. They should be linked in my video description. Before I get into any of the characters' redesigns, let's briefly talk about the setting and synopsis for the story. I never really had an exact idea for what I wanted to do with these characters. I'd just throw them into whatever story I thought was cool as a kid. Although, based off of their characters, I think a high school setting is the perfect place for them, because they wouldn't really interact with each other unless they were sorta forced to by something being school, as they are all very different people in different friend groups. I want Emmy, Moon, and Spike to have the connection of being childhood friends that are no longer friends. They still talk sometimes and have memories of being friends in the past, but they aren't friends anymore, as they all started to branch out into other friend groups that were more suited to their personalities. So first off, we have Emmy. Emmy was a yellow dog with brown spots. From the very start, Emmy was bold and outgoing character, almost in an annoying way to those around her. Despite that, she was friends with both Moon and Spike. She was always the positive spirit of the group, usually trying to cheer up the other two in a dull moment. She would be wacky and weird on purpose, as she loved being quirky, and sometimes Emmy would come off as dumb to others, as she wasn't the smartest of the bunch. Alright, so for the new Emmy, I wanted to change some things with her design and personality. Although I realized a lot of traits of hers could stay the same, they just needed to be reworked. I still wanted Emmy to be a bit weird, in a sense, but not like over the top like she used to be. I wanted to make her awkward, like she's trying to fit in with her peers, but she's clearly struggling. She wants to become more popular, but always overthinks everything and messes up at every chance she gets. I tried to get this across in her design too. She's wearing a lot of different types of clothing and colors that don't necessarily look the most fashionable together. She's even wearing a shirt with a heart, which gives off a childish vibe, but that's on purpose, as she doesn't have this whole cool thing figured out yet. In fact, she's pretty insecure about herself. She always compares herself to her peers in a negative way. Even with this said, she goes to parties and tries her best to be more social with her peers, especially trying to get closer to Spike, as she has a crush on him. I'll get into his character later on, but he's the cool guy at their school. I decided to make Emmy a golden retriever. It was the best dog breed that fit into her personality type, without steering too far from her original design. I still wanted Emmy to be an attention seeker, so I kept that trait in her personality, but I made it into a bit of a flaw. Overall, she's compassionate to her friends and family, but she loves attention and can't help but sometimes prioritize her own desires. Emmy also makes a lot of decisions on impulse, without thinking about the consequences afterwards, which causes a lot of problems for her and others around her. She's also hot-headed and overreactive to things, which can also cause issues. Next, I decided to make her smart and academically focused, which is a pretty big change in her character, I know, although I think it makes sense for the story. She's very competitive when it comes to school, and nobody other than Moon can compare with her good grades. Emmy is very witty, using her intellect to come up with clever jokes. She often gives witty remarks to Moon, sometimes in a meanish manner, as Moon and Emmy have a competitive rivalry at the school when it comes to being the smartest student. Over time, she starts to develop feelings for Moon as well as Spike, which causes a lot of problems. Secondly, we have Moon. Moon was a blue cat with darker blue spots. From the very start, Moon was smart and a very serious character, caring a lot more about his intelligence over anything else, being a bit more on the quiet side and antisocial. Despite that, he was friends with both Emmy and Spike. He was secretly sensitive, but would choose to hide it from others. He would also get jealous from others around him, but again, would also hide it. Alright, so for the new Moon, I needed to change a ton with his character. I had a lot under my plate, as his character was definitely the hardest to rewrite and design. He was just so boring beforehand, and the fact he secretly hid being sensitive and jealous just makes me cringe, in all honesty. Plus, he was literally just a blue cat. That's it. Anyways, for the new Moon, I still wanted him to be intelligent, but he needed to have a purpose for wanting to be smart. I decided to make him academically focused and a top student at his school. He is driven by a constant pressure to succeed at life, as his parents are both very successful themselves, with his dad being a famous actor that everyone at Moon's school knows about. He wants to prove to everyone that he is capable of being his own success. His main goal is getting into a prestigious university after high school. He comes from a wealthy background, which makes him come off as pretentious and arrogant to his peers. I tried to get this across in his design, giving him a very put-together outfit, having him in a dress shirt tied together with a belt and dress pants, plus dress shoes. I added a touch of high school clothing with a t-shirt underneath his dress shirt, and also having him hold a book to show his care for intelligence. Moon puts so much time and effort into his schoolwork that it's sometimes detrimental to his social life and emotional needs. He struggles with expressing his emotions and navigating social situations, which is why he can come off as blunt and unconcerned for other people's feelings. He doesn't have any true friends. The people that do associate with him just do it because they need help with their schoolwork or because his dad is a famous actor. This leads Moon to feeling very lonely because he doesn't have any friends and his family doesn't pay much attention to him. Moon was always just a blue cat, and for these redesigns I wanted them to be based off of real animal breeds. I decided to make Moon a tuxedo cat, as it adds to that prestigious and fancy vibe he gives off as a character. Although I made sure he had a lot of blue in his design, as I didn't want to steer too far away from his original character's design. Moon envies Spike for being so popular at their school and wishes he could excel at social interactions too, as he knows it's the one skill he lacks. Moon is very competitive with Emmy, as she's the only other student that can compete with his good grades and intellect. Even so, he always pretends he's smarter than she is, even when he knows she's on the same level. He has a bit of a crush on Emmy, but doesn't know how to handle it, and often flirts by poking fun at her and being a bit mean. Lastly, we have Spike. Spike was a green crocodile with darker green spots and stripes. At one point in time, I called Spike by the name Zero. I sorta used both of these names for him, but the name Spike is more fitting, so that's the name I'm going with for his character. From the very start, Spike was cool, funny, and talkative. He would do anything to get the chance to show off to others around him, or to be the center of attention in a crowd, as he too, like Emmy, loves attention. He didn't take life too seriously, making sure he's enjoying it to the fullest, not worrying about anything, as he would always say, "That's a future me problem." He loved hanging out with both Emmy and Moon, often trying to annoy Moon on purpose for the sake of it, and would have the best banter with Emmy. Alright, so I honestly didn't have to change a ton about Spike's character. He fit right into that cool guy character. If anything, I had to change more of his design than his actual personality. He never really looked like an actual crocodile, more like a lizard or gecko that had fur, which was so weird. I just couldn't draw reptiles as a kid. Anyway, I still wanted him to be a crocodile, as I felt like that fit into his cool personality more than a lizard or gecko would. For the new Spike, I still wanted him to remain cool, funny, and extroverted, but I wanted to do more of his personality. He's confident in himself because he knows he's the cool guy at school. He uses his popularity and good looks to get what he wants from others, often flirting with the girls at his high school. He's been in a lot of short-lasting relationships, but nothing ever lasts too long as he doesn't ever find himself actually falling in love. So he breaks things off with his partners pretty quickly in hopes he'll find someone he can truly love, which hurts a lot of girls' feelings in the process. He doesn't always know just how shallow or arrogant he can come off to others, as he focuses a lot on his own self-image because it's all he's got. He tends to hold himself above others he deems unworthy, as he only cares about being cool. I tried to get this across in his design, with him wearing a cool type of outfit. He's showing off his chest by wearing a tank top and wearing socks and sandals as a fashion statement. He always goes to parties, a lot of the time being the one to host them. He's not very smart, and his grades are suffering due to him focusing all of his time on his social life. He feels like he doesn't have a passion or any real skills, and he worries about what he'll amount to after high school is over. Because deep down, he knows he's only popular for his good looks and charming personality. He envies both Moon and Emmy for caring so much about school and being so smart and future-focused. He starts seeing a new side to Emmy and develops a bit of a crush on her, although he only ever flirts with her when nobody's around to see, as he's worried she'll ruin his image. And that's it for the redesigns of Emmy, Moon, and Spike's characters. I really love how all of them turned out, in both of the design and written personalities I gave them. For their story, if anyone is still interested, I do imagine them in the high school setting, where there are stereotypes for different groups of people. As I said before, they are all childhood friends who slowly drifted apart, going into their own groups of people at school. Spike being the extroverted, popular kid, Moon being the academically driven kid, and Emmy sort of being an in-between of the two, which is sort of what brings their story together. Emmy is like Moon in the way where she's smart and competitive to get good grades. Although, on the other hand, she's like Spike in the way where she seeks attention from others and wants to have more of a social life at school. But above anything else, I want the story to really dive into each of the characters' struggles. Not just Emmy, Moon, and Spike either. They'd be the main focus, of course, but I'd hope to show off a lot of other characters. They are in high school, and people go through a lot at that time in their lives. I want to show that each character, no matter what group of friends they are in, goes through their own personal struggles. And I want to show how they overcome them, and sometimes even just show the bad parts. Not everything is a happy ending, after all. I guess, in the end of the day, I'd want to provoke a lot of emotions with this story. I've always loved the stories that can just be those down-to-earth stories, but they make you feel something inside. Something meaningful, impactful, or even a life lesson that you can take away with you after watching or reading. But anyways, I don't want to ramble on here for too long. That's the redesigns for Emmy, Moon, and Spike, and the brief story idea I have for them. Thanks so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please leave a like on the video. It's been Lean Puppy, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys all next time.